Hello and welcome to Clearly English, the podcast where we help you speak English with confidence. I'm Emma.
And I'm Alex.
Today we're going to talk about something really important, something that so many English learners feel but don't always say out loud, that feeling of, I'm bad at English.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you've studied for months or even years. Maybe you watch videos, you read articles, you practice grammar, but when it's time to actually speak, you freeze.
Right.
You forget the words, you feel frustrated, and you start to think, maybe I'm just not good at this. If that sounds familiar, I want you to listen carefully to what I'm about to say. You are not bad at English. You are not. You just need a better practice method. And today we're going to talk about exactly what that is.
Yeah, and I think this is something a lot of people need to hear, because it's easy to feel like you're failing when you're not seeing the progress you want.
It really is, and that feeling is so common. So if you're listening right now and you've ever felt like you're bad at English, I want you to know you are not alone.
Right, not alone.
And more importantly, you are not the problem. The problem is usually the way you're practicing, and that's something we can fix together. So Alex, let me ask you something. When you imagine someone learning English and they feel stuck, what do you think they're feeling?
I think they're frustrated, like they're putting in the effort but not seeing results. And that can make you feel like maybe you're just not capable of learning the language.
Exactly. And that's such a painful feeling because when you work hard at something and you don't see progress, it's easy to blame yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to think, I'm the problem. But here's the truth. If you understand what I'm saying right now, you are already proof that you're not bad at English.
Wait, really? Just understanding?
Yes, think about it. If you were truly bad at English, you wouldn't understand this conversation. But you do. You're listening, you're following along, you understand the words. That means you have knowledge, you have skills, you just need to practice using them in a different way.
So it's not about ability, it's about method.
Exactly, and that's a huge difference, because if it's about method, that means you can change it, you can improve. You're not stuck, you just need a better strategy.
Okay, but I think a lot of people, including me sometimes, feel like they study and nothing sticks. Like they forget words or they can't speak when they need to. What's happening there?
That's such a good question, and this is where I want to talk about the real problem. Most people are practicing the wrong way, and I don't say that to make you feel bad. I say it because once you know what the problem is, you can fix it.
Right.
So let me ask you this. When you think about how people usually study English, what do they do?
They probably study grammar rules. They watch videos. Maybe they use apps or read books.
Exactly. And all of those things can be helpful, but here's the problem. Most people are only doing passive practice. They're watching, they're reading, they're listening.
Passive.
But they're not speaking. And if you want to get better at speaking, you have to actually speak.
So it's like learning to swim by watching videos about swimming, but never getting in the water.
Yes, perfect example. You can watch 100 videos about swimming, but until you get in the water and actually try, you're not going to learn. And the same is true for English. You can study grammar for years, but if you're not speaking, you're not going to feel confident when it's time to have a conversation.
Okay, so speaking practice is the key. But what if someone is too nervous to speak? What if they're afraid of making mistakes?
That's such an important question, and this is where so many people get stuck. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until they think their English is good enough. They wait until they feel confident. But here's the truth. Confidence doesn't come first. Action comes first. You speak, even when you're nervous, even when you make mistakes, and then confidence builds.
So you're saying don't wait to feel ready, just start.
Exactly. And I know that's scary. I know it feels uncomfortable, but that discomfort is actually where the learning happens. Every time you speak, even imperfectly, you're building skills. You're training your brain. You're getting better.
But what about mistakes? I think a lot of people are really afraid of saying the wrong thing.
I understand that fear, but let me ask you this. When a baby is learning to walk, do they walk perfectly the first time?
No, they fall a lot.
Exactly. They fall, they stumble, they try again. And no one says, this baby is bad at walking. We say, this baby is learning. And the same is true for you. When you make a mistake in English, you're not failing, you're learning. Mistakes are proof that you're trying, and trying is how you improve.
So mistakes aren't the enemy, they're part of the process.
Yes, mistakes are part of the process, and the more you can accept that, the less afraid you'll be, and the less afraid you are, the more you'll speak, and the more you speak, the better you'll get.
Okay, so what does better practice actually look like? If someone has been studying the wrong way, what should they do instead?
Great question. So here's what better practice looks like. First, you need to speak every single day, even if it's just for 5 minutes, even if you're just talking to yourself. Speaking needs to become a daily habit, not something you do once in a while.
Okay, so daily speaking practice. What else?
Second, you need repetition. This is so important. You can't just learn a word or a phrase once and expect to remember it forever. You need to repeat it. Use it multiple times. Practice it in different sentences. Repetition is what makes things stick.
So instead of learning 100 new words, focus on really mastering a few words by using them over and over.
Exactly. It's better to know 20 words really well than to kind of know 100 words. Third, you need to combine listening and speaking together. This is where shadowing comes in. You listen to a sentence and then you immediately repeat it. You're not just passively listening, you're actively practicing.
So listening and speaking at the same time?
Yes. And fourth, you need to have real conversations, even if they're short, even if they're simple. Talking to real people or even practicing conversations with yourself is so valuable because that's where you learn to think in English, not just translate.
Okay, so daily speaking, repetition, shadowing, and real conversations, that's the better method.
Exactly. And notice, none of this is about studying harder. It's about practicing smarter. It's about doing the things that actually build speaking confidence.
I like that. Smarter, not harder.
Yes, and here's something else I want you to understand. A lot of people feel bad about their English because they compare themselves to others. They see someone who's fluent and they think, I'll never be that good.
Right.
But that person didn't start out fluent. They practiced, they made mistakes, they kept going, and you can do the same thing.
So stop comparing and just focus on your own progress.
Exactly. Your only competition is yourself yesterday. Are you a little bit better today than you were yesterday? If yes, you're winning.
I really like that. Your only competition is yourself yesterday.
Yes, and I want to talk about something else. A lot of people know more English than they think they do. They understand when they listen, they can read pretty well, but when it's time to speak, they panic and forget everything. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the words are there somewhere, but they just won't come out.
Exactly. And that's not because you don't know English. It's because you haven't practiced speaking enough. Your brain knows the words, but your mouth isn't used to saying them. It's like having a really fast car, but never taking it out of the garage. The car works, you just need to drive it.
So I actually know more than I think. I just need to practice using what I know.
Yes, and that's such an important thing to understand. You're not starting from zero. You already have knowledge. You already have vocabulary. You already have skills. You just need to activate them. And the way you activate them is by speaking.
Okay, so let's practice. What if someone feels really nervous and doesn't know where to start?
Great question. Let's start with something super simple. Alex, can you introduce yourself? Just tell me your name and one thing about yourself.
Hi, my name is Alex. I like coffee.
Perfect. See, you just spoke English. You introduced yourself, you did it, and it wasn't that hard, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was actually pretty easy.
Exactly. And everyone listening, I want you to try that too. Out loud. Introduce yourself, say your name, say one thing about yourself. Don't overthink it, just speak.
And it doesn't have to be fancy, just simple and clear.
Exactly. Now let's try another one. Alex, what did you do today?
I woke up, I had breakfast, I worked, I listened to this podcast.
Perfect. That's clear, that's simple, and you communicated what you did. That's all you need. And everyone listening, answer that question too. What did you do today? Say it out loud.
Even if it feels basic, that's okay. You're practicing speaking.
Yes, and the more you practice these simple things, the easier they become. Now let's try one more. Alex, imagine you're at a coffee shop. What would you say to order a coffee?
Hi, can I get a medium coffee, please?
Perfect. Simple, polite, clear. You ordered your coffee. Mission accomplished. See? You can speak English. You're doing it right now.
Yeah, and it's not as scary as it feels in my head.
Exactly. It's not as scary as you think, and the more you practice, the less scary it becomes. Now, I want to talk about mindset for a minute because so much of language learning is mental.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe you're bad at English, you're going to feel defeated before you even start. But if you believe you're learning and improving, even slowly, you're going to keep going, and that persistence is what creates results.
So it's not just about the practice, it's also about how you think about yourself.
Exactly. Your mindset matters. And I want you to stop thinking, I'm bad at English. Start thinking, I'm learning English. I'm improving. I'm getting better every day.
I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm getting better every day.
Yes, say it again.
I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm getting better every day.
Good. And everyone listening, say that too, out loud. I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm getting better every day. Believe it, because it's true.
And even if progress feels slow, it's still progress.
Exactly. Progress is not always dramatic. Sometimes it's small. Sometimes you just understand one more word than you did last week, or you speak one sentence without hesitating. Those are wins. Celebrate them.
So notice the small wins instead of focusing on how far you still have to go.
Yes, because if you only focus on the gap between where you are and where you want to be, you'll feel discouraged. But if you focus on how far you've already come, you'll feel motivated.
That's a really good point. Look back, not just forward.
Exactly. Now let's talk about something else. A lot of people feel like they speak better when they're alone than when they're with other people. Why do you think that is?
Probably because when you're alone, there's no pressure. You're not worried about someone judging you.
Exactly. And that tells you something important. You can speak English. You just get nervous when other people are listening, and that's a confidence issue, not a skill issue.
So, how do you build that confidence?
You build it by speaking anyway, even when you're nervous, even when you're scared. You do it anyway, and every time you do, it gets a little bit easier. The first conversation is scary, the second one is a little less scary, the 10th one, you barely even notice the fear anymore.
So it's like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Exactly. Confidence is a muscle, and you build it by practicing, not by waiting until you feel ready.
Okay, so just to recap, better practice means speaking daily, using repetition, shadowing, having real conversations, and building confidence by doing it even when it's scary.
Yes, that's it. That's the method. And notice, none of this requires you to be perfect. None of this requires you to never make mistakes. It just requires you to show up and practice.
And that feels a lot more doable than trying to be perfect.
It is, because perfection is impossible, but progress is absolutely possible, and progress is what we're going for.
I like that. Progress, not perfection.
Exactly. Now I want to do a final practice with you. I'm going to say some affirmations, and I want you to repeat them. These are things I want you to believe about yourself. Ready, Alex?
Ready.
I am improving every day.
I am improving every day.
I do not need perfect English.
I do not need perfect English.
I can speak with confidence.
I can speak with confidence.
Mistakes help me learn.
Mistakes help me learn.
I am not bad at English.
I am not bad at English.
I am learning and growing.
I am learning and growing.
I trust the process.
I trust the process.
I believe in myself.
I believe in myself.
How did that feel?
It felt good, like I'm actually capable of this.
You are. You absolutely are. And everyone listening, I want you to say those affirmations too, out loud. Mean them. Believe them, because they're true. You are improving every day. You don't need perfect English. You can speak with confidence. Mistakes help you learn. You are not bad at English. You are learning and growing. Trust the process. Believe in yourself.
And remember, you're not alone in this. everyone who's ever learned a language has felt the same doubts and fears.
Exactly, and they kept going anyway, and so can you. Before we finish, I want to leave you with one final thought. You didn't fail at English. You just haven't found the right practice method yet, and now you have it. Daily speaking, repetition, shadowing, real conversations, building confidence through action. This is what works. This is how you improve.
And it's not about studying more, it's about practicing smarter.
Yes, smarter, not harder. And here's what I want you to do starting today. Speak English for 5 minutes. That's it. Just 5 minutes. Talk to yourself about your day. Practice introducing yourself. Order an imaginary coffee. Read a sentence out loud and repeat it. Just 5 minutes of speaking. And do that every single day. And watch how much you improve.
5 minutes a day. That's totally doable.
It is. And those 5 minutes will change everything because consistency is more powerful than intensity. You don't need to practice for hours. You just need to practice every day.
Consistency over perfection.
Exactly. And remember, progress is slow, but it's real. You might not notice it day to day, but if you look back in a month, you'll see how far you've come. Trust the process, trust yourself.
You've got this. You really do.
You absolutely do. Thank you so much for joining us today on Clearly English. If this episode helped you, please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future conversations. Remember, you are not bad at English, you just needed a better practice method. And now you have it. Keep listening, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself. We believe in you. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.